What do you do when you're feeling behind? What do you do when you feel like your performance isn't as good as you think it should be? If you have a client who's upset or disappointed in you, do you take that personally? And how do you respond? Do you respond by working harder and giving more? If that's the case, then that means that yes, the success of your work is now dependent on whether you're feeling good enough in the moment based off of how other people perceive you. So if you've been listening to this and you're like, yes, this is me, definitely have the high achiever stuff going on. If you know that you want to continue to grow your career, grow your business into these next levels, but that you also want to do it from a place of deep inner peace and deep satisfaction. I have been there, and that's a big part of why I'm able to teach this, because I understand what it's like to being someone who's so ambitious and wants to do a good job and takes on a lot and is highly capable, but you want to do it in a different way now, where you're not running your business from a place of sacrifice and overworking. You're running it from a place of feeling deeply in tune with yourself, with your mission, and having a business that works for you and a life that you love living. Welcome to the Worth It podcast. I'm Megan Taylor, coach for the brilliant minds and the rare ones who are always growing. I have helped ambitious women and men, business owners and leaders from around the world with defining and expanding their unique work, having the relationship that they actually want, and creating the life that makes all of the work feel worth it. Every week on the podcast, we discuss the key pivots that I coach my clients on and the real work required in order to be a leader and the woman or the man that you're here to be. With that, let's get started. Hi. So I've been having a lot of conversations with badass female leaders, many of whom right now are just feeling absolutely swamped by the amount of things on their to-do list. And I wanted to talk to you about what it's like when you're somebody who has a lot of success, but also is feeling overworked. And to be honest, you might not even know that you're overworked because you're so used to working in this way. And we're going to talk about how to know if you're overworked, especially when you're somebody who is highly ambitious like myself or my other clients, where we love working. It actually brings us deep satisfaction to work. And so it's like, how much is too much? And we're going to talk about some of the signs of overworking, as well as what you can do to actually have an even higher level of performance without coming from a place of sacrifice. The ways that this is going to allow you to not only have better results at work, but to enjoy your work even more, and also the money that follows that. I'm here to help women have it all in terms of wealth and well-being. So if that is what you're after, you're going to love this episode. So first of all, let's talk about signs of being overworked. If you have been feeling overwhelmed, if you have a long ass to-do list that you feel like you just never get to the bottom of, if you feel like you support like a lot of other people, maybe it's your team, like providing leadership to your team members, it's supporting clients, it's taking care of your kids, and you're pouring a lot outward, but you're not really getting the time to focus on the things behind the scenes that you want to work on. The key projects, the key work for your business that not only lights you up, but that is critical to the mission that you have here. There's things that keep getting put on the back burner, whether it's building the website or designing a new program, or it's you've been wanting to start the podcast for months, but you haven't been doing it because you've been pouring outward and helping to solve problems for other people. That is, first of all, super common, especially if you are a woman with a big heart who has a big heart for service. You might find that you tend to serve and support other people before yourself. So take a look at whether that's happening. Other things to look at to know if you're overworked are feeling irritable when other people interrupt you, like as if it's interrupting your flow. It can also be feeling like foggy-headed because you have so many open tabs in your mind that things are slipping through the cracks. Like that doesn't feel good for somebody who loves to be a high performer and likes to stay on top of their game. Maybe you go weeks without replying to a certain message or email, and you see that you're getting behind and you don't want it to be that way, but it just is. A part of that is strategic and a part of it is inner work stuff. And we're going to talk about both. So first of all, this is the kind of work that I do with my one-on-one clients. And it's also the work I'm going to be doing with my upcoming women's mastermind, where we're going to be focused on the success and the wealth, but also the womanhood and the way that it feels, the feeling good while doing your work, because you get to have it all. And when you have success, but you don't feel connected to yourself, you don't feel fully connected to your work, it's not really success. We want you to be able to do the work that you're here to do, to be paid abundantly well, but also to really enjoy your life. And so I'm going to help you with understanding some of the things that you want to focus on strategically, but also the inner work of why it is that women sometimes get into this high achievement mode. And really what you want is more of a high performance mode. It's going to be really juicy. Hi. So I don't know if you've heard, but I've decided to do something a little different. I'm opening up spots on my calendar for you if you are interested in working with me. This is for you if you are a high achiever, an executive, a business owner, a six-figure plus CEO, and you're ready to move beyond the success that you've already created, beyond the money and into the life and the work that you don't need a vacation from. So this is how it works. This is 45 minutes complimentary to you, where we get on a call together. You come on the call and you share how you're honestly feeling about your life and your work right now. I'll tell you what I think about you, what I see is ready to be shifted, and we'll talk about the real work that you're being invited into so that you can actually make happen what it is that you want. Then we'll talk about different options for working together if you'd like to continue to be supported long term, and we can go from there. So if you're feeling the pull towards this, your next step is to reach out to me on Instagram at Megan W. Taylor. Send me the word beyond via DM, and I will get you a spot on my calendar. So first of all, let's talk about strategy. So strategically, some of the things that high achiever women do is we tend to be super capable. Like you are able to do more things and be maybe kind of a Jill of all trades more than a lot of women. Things that you could outsource and delegate to other people, you'll tend to keep close to heart and do them yourself. And the problem with that is that when you're doing all the things yourself, it doesn't allow you to fully rise into the position of being the leader because you're taking care of all of the details. So something you want to look at is, do you have the right support in place? Whether that is mentorship, whether that is team members, are they the right team members and are they people that you can really count on? And also, are you taking the time to, train people how to support you? Because part of it is fit, but part of it is also you need to take the time to be a leader, to set expectations so that people are showing up and giving you what it is that you actually need that feels supportive. As an example with the podcast, I have a podcast editor and I have a particular, he's extremely talented and it took me a while to find to find him. If you need his contact information, reach out to me. But also I have a particular way that I like the podcast to be edited. And so I have to take the time to actually articulate the specifics of what I want. And then that allows him to actually show up with a product that I like because I take the time to actually, step into the role of leadership and provide that feedback. And so even though it takes a little bit more time to provide that leadership, the result is better. And so then it requires less back and forth because we nail it like the first or the second time every time. That's a part of it, making sure that you have the right people, that you're delegating, and that you're actually leading your people. Second, we want to make sure that you're doing the work that is really in your zone of genius. This is the work that people pay premium for, but it's also the work that you love doing. Like it lights you up doing it. You love it so much you would practically do it for free, but instead you get paid top dollar. And really allowing yourself to do that work. So a lot of my clients, they build success off of one particular skill set that they have, but they actually have multiple geniuses. And the key is figuring out how do you stitch these multiple geniuses together so that you love your work every day. You get to do the multi-passionate work that you love doing and not pigeonhole yourself into one particular type of work that might drain your energy when you're just doing that. So as an example, a part of my success came from doing operations work and helping CEOs and business owners to scale their businesses to $1 million by streamlining their businesses, scaling their businesses. There's a lot that goes into it. And using my business strategy, leadership, and those types of skill sets. But the other part to the work that I do is more of the emotional work and more of the inner work that allows clients to be able to evolve basically the paradigms that they're operating from on a day-to-day basis. So as an example, if you have a paradigm of being a high achiever or a people pleaser who feels like the way that you be successful is by achieving more or keeping everybody happy, making decisions from that place can end up creating a business that you actually don't even like. And so we need to peel off some of these old paradigms through the inner work. And that's something that I help my clients with. And then when they do that, they begin making business decisions and life decisions from a more integrated place and creating a business that actually feels good for them. And then it's a lot easier to scale it because you're creating something that's actually aligned for you and aligned to what you like, what you want, what lights you up, the types of clients that you work with. And you feel like an internal motivation because you're creating the life and the business that you actually desire. I love doing both sides. I love the inner work and the alignment work and the leadership work, but also the business strategy, the scaling, the let's make money, let's make it all easier, that kind of stuff. And like, let's change lives and serve the world with your genius. In order for me to have the most amount of energy on a day-to-day basis, I really need to do both. I like being able to serve my clients in multiple ways. If you come into my spaces, we'll talk about, what are your geniuses and how do you combine those in a way to serve clients and how do you get to do that on a day-to-day basis. And some of that has to do with just owning your genius and declaring it, but also, designing your business in a way that sets you up to be able to do that work on a day-to-day basis. The next thing I want to talk about strategically is simply about the structure that you have for your work. This could be your day-to-day schedule. It can also be just the structure of your business. A lot of these things are what allow you to be able to get everything done that you want to in the day, but also to still be able to tend to yourself. So for example, if you find yourself, like some of my clients do, waking up, rolling over, looking at your phone and immediately opening your inbox or opening your Telegram or your Voxer and to start listening to or reading and replying to, questions from your clients or questions from your team members, I'm going to invite you to stop doing that and to focus on tending to yourself and minding your own business first before you begin pouring into other people, unless it's your family. So this is going to allow you to actually organize your day, to get done the key projects that you know are really important to move the needle forward on your success, whether it's like something you've been putting off for a long time, like starting the podcast or building the website or writing a job description for a team member you need to hire. If you've been wanting to do things and have continued to have to, push it to the bottom of the to-do list again and again, you're going to want to rework your schedule so that there's time for you and the working on the business kind of things, and then also time for the running the business kind of things. So those are some of the strategic pieces. There's a lot more, but ultimately we also want to take a look at the inner work and just who you're being on a day-to-day basis. So if you're somebody who, when you're in a stressful situation, you tend to be somebody who leans in and wants to fix things, wants to problem solve. It may be that you have been in a stress response in thinking that if you can just do more and fight, you're going to make it through the other side of this work and have the success, the acknowledgement, the validation, the feel good feelings. It's good to be tenacious and it's good to work hard, but also we need to remember that this is a long-term marathon and not a sprint. What we want to do is, rather than showing up and fighting your to-do list and just going at it and trying to be in hyper productivity and get as much done, so much so that you might even be skipping lunches, maybe just downing some coffee. Focus your energy on the things that are really the most high priority and come from that place of calm before you begin getting into productivity. If you're showing up to team meetings or to serving your clients and you're feeling this low level fight or flight or this anxiety, you're not going to be giving your best to those people. And so even though it's hard, a big part of shifting out of high achievement into high performance is actually taking the time to just downshift and regulate yourself and get into that state of calm before you proceed into your work. And that's something that I help a lot of my clients with. When you have this pattern around pushing yourself and being in that fight or flight state, first of all, your health may be being affected by being in that kind of state for a long time. It's also something that can affect your relationships. If you're always thinking about work and you're not able to be fully present, that is also another consequence of this. And so a lot of this is inner work to understand why it is that you show up to work that way with anxiety or feeling not enoughness or things like that. All of that, it's mindset, but it's also how do you regulate your emotions on a day-to-day basis in regards to how you think about your work? What do you do when you're feeling behind? What do you do when you feel like your performance isn't as good as you think it should be? What do you do when people are, if you have a client who's upset or disappointed in you, do you take that personally? And how do you respond? Do you respond by working harder and giving more? If that's the case, then that means that yes, the success of your work is now dependent on how you feel emotionally and whether you're feeling good enough in the moment based off of how other people perceive you. That makes you more of a machine than a human being if the way that you work is dependent on how other people think and feel about you, because you're always responding to external validation. And when you're coming from external validation, you're not able to actually make integrated decisions as a leader because you're always pivoting what you're doing based off of how other people are responding to you. So a lot of the inner work at hand is really about understanding how do you run your business and your day-to-day life from a place of your desires versus your fears. And that's something that we would talk about, in a private conversation. So if you've been listening to this and you're like, yes, this is me, definitely have the high achiever stuff going on. If you know that you want to continue to grow your career, grow your business into these next levels, but that you also want to do it from a place of deep inner peace and deep satisfaction, I have been there. And that's a big part of why I'm able to teach this, because I understand what it's like being someone who's so ambitious and wants to do a good job and takes on a lot and is highly capable, but you want to do it in a different way now, where you're not running your business from a place of sacrifice and overworking. You're running it from a place of feeling deeply in tune with yourself, with your mission, and having a business that works for you and a life that you love living. These are things that you want. Please reach out to me on Instagram. I have a few open one-on-one spots at the moment for helping leaders and business owners grow the business, but also live a deeply fulfilling life, and doing the inner work to be the match for that. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Megan W. Taylor. Send me the word beyond and we can have a conversation, see what I have available, talk about some of the shifts that you're being called to make in your life and in your work. And we can talk about whether we're a good fit for coaching together. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I just want to remind you that you are not a human doing. You're here to be a human being and to enjoy your work and your life and to be of high service in the world. You truly get to have it all, but it really starts with understanding how intertwined your success and your well-being truly are. And the more that we make your desires and your well-being a part of your success, the more that the money follows that as well. It's all interconnected. Okay, more to come. See you on the next episode. Hi, lovely. Really quick before you go, it would mean the absolute world to me if you found value in today's episode, if you would take a minute to leave a 5-star review for the podcast. This is going to help other powerhouses like you to be able to find it. Also, I love interacting with my listeners, so I would love to know more about what you thought about today's episode. If you take a screenshot and share it to your Instagram stories and tag at Megan W. Taylor, it's going to notify me, and I actually love to reshare your posts with my audience as well. With that, thank you so much for being a listener, and I'm wishing you a beautiful, productive, happy, sexy, lucrative week, and I will see you on the next episode.